Now, China, of course, we're talking about it, and it is expected to hit GDP growth to that target of 7.5% this year. This is according to World Bank Group President Guigen. He's warned that rising interest rates in emerging markets in response to reports that the US is preparing to scale back its quantitative easing program. Of course, we'll know the answer to that this week. Should show significant risk, and that, of course, those risks certainly remain for the EM space. So I spoke to Guigen. He's the Dean at the China-Africa International Business School at the World Economic Forum back in Dalian, China, and his views of China's growth story. Let's take a look.
China grows fast economically. It has become number 2 biggest economy in the world. And naturally, China attracts a lot of attention from outside the world. During the process, that is so very important for the outside world to have a proper understanding of emerging China and vis-a-vis for Chinese people to have a better understanding of the outside world. Because what on my mind is that mutual understanding between the Chinese people and the people of the world are so very important. Otherwise, they would have misunderstanding. But currently, China's economic strength has not automatically turned out to be our navigation, the discourse of China. So we need to do more in people-to-people communication and understanding.
And that, of course, is always critical across the board. But when it comes to China, because of the power of the nation, because of the, I suppose you could call it a growing middle class, there is a fear that the world in 40 years' time perhaps could be, Mandarin speaking, and China wants to impose its culture on the rest of the world. Is that true?
Well, I think that fear of China is baseless, and is mainly out of lack of knowledge about China and the Chinese people, Chinese culture, and the Chinese government's policy. In the first place, we made it very clear and very serious that China will not be a superpower, and China will not seek a dominant, controlling power over the world affairs, and will stick to the basic principle of non-interference with internal affairs of other countries, and will not try to seek to establish a kind of spheres of influence. I think these are basic Chinese foreign policy and the principles China are going to follow when we deal with outside world. Because at the moment, I think my understanding from judging from my experiences in Africa and in other parts of the world is that currently the influence of cultural and social values from the Western countries, like Western European countries, United States of America, are still prevailing in outside world, and China needs to do more to let the world people to understand us perfectly well.
How do Chinese people understand the concept of, and to what extent is there an understanding around democracy and liberty? Those kind of values, those Western values, if you could call it that. Is there a growing sense that there could be a shift towards that at all?
I think, basically speaking, is that there are, of course, different opinions among the Chinese people, particularly among people from different social walks. But anyhow, the general trend is undeniable that more and more the Chinese people no longer regard that concept of freedom, democracy, transparency, and good governance as kind of Western values. Or rather, we regard it as a kind of universal values, and we are going to embrace, at least many of the Chinese people, those ideas. But of course, we have pointed out also that those concepts have to be adaptable to the concrete Chinese society, Chinese culture, and Chinese level of